As of right now, the Baiken primer is the most popular video on this channel, which is both good because A, I have a video that's actually popular, and it's bad because it's probably my worst guide as of now. Because I did it while I was still rusty and there are a lot of misinformation and stuff, and today we're going to clean that up with the Baiken guide, the Baiken primer remaster. So let's start. What do I usually talk about? Let's begin with Baiken as a character and what do you expect to pick her up. So Baiken has got like neutral thanks to Power Slash, 2S and 2H, as well as JS. She's really good at space control. Insane reach, is pretty much comfortable from on any position on the screen. She has brutal mix-ups with meter, which look something like this. Right? Or like this. I'm bad. Excuse me. There we go. That's that. She's really good at building risk. Like, that's a lot of risk if you ask me. As for Baiken, oh, she also has the frame 1 parry, which is unique to her. Maybe Angie's is also one frame, whatever. This one is meterless, that's why it's so special. So she can stop save jumps, which other characters cannot. She can parry literally any gap, and the damage on this thing is absolutely fucking huge. It also enables her to do a few wild OSs on defense. She also has Tether, which keeps the two players bound together, which is really good because it actually keeps her right in her ideal range where Power Slash is like gold leg. So let's start talking about Baiken. Neutral. On the ground, you're mainly going to be using Pares. This is your go-to button for everything. Round start, Pares. You want poke, Pares. Your opponent is doing something, you punish with Pares. Yeah, Fares is your go-to for everything. If you're not in range of Fares, then you're probably going to be using 2S. 2S slower. It also doesn't go under 6 piece, so 6 piece will be this button. But it has more range. And that's the main reason you're going to be using it. 2H is a ridiculously long poke. From the 17th frame onwards, it actually low profiles. And it's your main combo tool because it converts into H-Kabari, which lets you start your game plan. As for anti-airs, 6P will be your go-to most of the time. It's not bad, but it doesn't have much range and it's very susceptible to cross-ups. And it has a hard time anti-airing people that are directly above you. So as for anti-airs, you're also going to be using parry from time to time and a preemptive or reactionary rising JS, which is an excellent anti-air. In the air, air to air, you'll be using JS and JD. These are your main buttons. You might want to use JK in case they're above you, but that rarely comes up. And funnily enough, Youzansen is very good as a air to air for two main reasons. The first reason is it covers pretty much everything. Below you, to your right, to your left, above you, everywhere. And because of its reach, it can also be used to catch characters like Miller or anyone else who goes high up in the air. Look at that. Depending on the hit you get, so with this hit, I can usually get a combo. Let's see if I can. There we go, yeah. I need to hit him. Maybe with slide game, let's try. Oh. Come on. God damn it. Yeah, with 5k it would work. But if you get a different hit, like this is a knockdown that you can get a safe jump off of. But anyway, that's why you would use Youzansen, and it's safe if they block it because it's in the air. For air to ground, JS, godlike button. Keep in mind that if you're air dashing from further away like this, you don't necessarily have to press JS because it's so fast. they cannot react to it. So you can kind of bait an entire land and punish, which is great. Also, you'll be using JH. JH you really be only used when you're certain your opponent is going to be there, so as they're waking up for a safe jump, or if they block the JD in there, you can air dash immediately and get the JH. Another setup which a few people use, and it's really good. Well, it's not really good, but it's a knowledge check and most people don't know how to deal with this, is this setup. So JH can be used for that. Keep in mind it's active until landing, so as soon as you press it, you're committed to this button. And because it hits so deep, you might even beat 6P if they do it a little late. And that's basically all you're going to be using as air to ground. As you're retreating, you might want to do Tatami, but that's probably it. Now let's talk about her special moves. Let's start with the simple things. No, Parry is not simple. Kabari. H-Kabari. Tatami. Tatami Gaeshi. So unlike in other games, in this game it's not good at all for approaching. If you do this, you're going to get smoked. Because it's super big and disjointed, you can technically use it as a counter poke to, let's say, Kai here doing this move. Let's see if I can land it. This is going to be hard. I need to be further away, like this. There, see? You can use it, because it hits so deep, you can use it to beat some disjoints as a counter poke, but it's relatively risky and you need a lot of experience to know when and how to do that. Other than that, use it to take up space as you're retreating, which I already showed. This type of movement, you can run up Tatami. It destroys projectiles, which looks like this. Alright, so that's a really useful thing to know. Keep in mind only the grounded version deletes projectiles. This version has a one-hit effect and it only clashes with them, so if Kai does this fireball, we're going to be fine, but if he does this fireball, we're going to be in trouble. So this one we destroyed. This one, oops. This one is going to blow right through. And we're going to have to block. The other is used for Tatami for safe jumps. Because it's a projectile, characters struggle to wake up against the shit. So the time it just lands there in box run, you run up, you start with pressure. When you want to end pressure, Baiken doesn't have many good enders. So you usually be going for Tatami as your ender. If Tatami hits twice, then you're minus, you should chill. If it only hits once though, that's too far. Like this, you're plus, and you can push your advantage a little bit further. But if it does hit only once, that means that they can actually mash out your Tatami. So you should be careful about ranges and about your opponent's just knowledge and playstyle, because if they don't know what they're supposed to do, then you can abuse Tatami all they want. But if they do, then you have to be a little bit more careful about how you use it. Now Youzansen. Youzansen is an air only move. This is a tiger knee. In neutral you do the tiger knee by going down to forward, then to 9 or 8 or whichever direction you do Youzansen. You can also do it like with this, but this is actually hard. Come on. I used to be good at this, but that's beside the point. So Youzansen, it's minus on block, it's slightly plus on hit, depending on how you do it. So this is the worst version basically. If you do it like this, it's kinda bad. If you do it from up close, by using pole slash or 5K, you input up and then down forward, and it looks like this. This is less minus and less more plus, but it's still bad. If they block this, you're going to get punished. If you land a hit, you're plus 5, do whatever, it's okay. Youzansen can be used to go under wall pokes. Let's say Kai let's say Kai 2D. So... well, this is not the best example. But on round start against Fast, for example, when they do TP, you can go over with this. You can go over Nago 2S, you can go over a lot of stuff and punish. But of course it's a little bit risky. The main use of Youzansen, other than the mix-up, because you get a 50-50, we are going to talk about it, the main use would be to make your landing safe. So, if I go here, I hit it deep, now I'm plus, and my opponent couldn't have punished me. Same goes for this, right? Same goes for this interaction. Come on. There we go. So this forces your opponent to always anti-air you, because if they miss the anti-air, then you're in and you're super plus, regardless of what hit you got. So it forces your opponent to be very proactive, which is good. And that's basically all for Youzansen. You can use it to cross up, obviously, from around transfer distance. Or like this, or however you want. I mainly use this in the corner, so when my opponents are over here and they're pressuring me, if I find an opening, I AD out with Youzansen, and this is really hard to deal with if you're not looking to beat it. And that's basically all for Youzansen. Now Kabari, there are two forms of Kabari. Let's talk about this version because it's a little bit more important. So H-Kabari is -3, so it's safe. But it has a follow-up, which is -7, I believe. It's punishable by every character with a 2k 2d for a knockdown. This follow-up, so Kabari usually goes around half the screen. The follow-up goes the same length, but if you hold down the H button, it travels almost full screen. It can also be used to pass through opponents for a mix-up, like this. But that's a little unreliable, and we're going to talk about it a bit later. Now, Kabari is all about poking and controlling space. So you can harass most characters with Kabari. And you can put them in a nasty situation like this. Oops. Come on. The thing with this is you're -3, but the follow-up is instant, and right now it beats absolutely everything except the throw if it's well timed. And Kabari is always safe unless you're over here. From this range they can throw you, so be careful. If they end up close to you, you're going to either throw and there's nothing you can do about it. But because they're afraid of the follow-up, you get to just do this over and over. Right? You're kind of pressuring like this. And the thing is they're forced to do something here. Now the most common answer is to fight back with a poke, which you usually won't be able to beat unless you use 6p and catch a... I don't know, a far slash maybe. Or you use parry, which is very risky. If they use 6p or if they don't have much range, for example, if this was the best button Kai had, which is not true, but if this is the best button that Kai had, then by doing this, they literally have no answer. Because 5H would quash or beat 6Ps, it will beat reversals like DP, and it outranges a lot of stuff, and it's super disjointed. And that's literally it for Kabari, like you just do this over and over. You use the follow-up to cross up, for example, to escape the corner, so if I get something going like this, I can do this to escape the corner. This is one way I like to use it. You can also use RC, start pressure like this, which is a good use for it. But that's basically it. Otherwise, you're not going to be going much for the follow-up unless you're chasing something or you're comboing. Now, S-Kabari is way slower, but it's +2 on block. Yeah, it's +2 on block. This means that you can beat everything they do with the 5p after. If they try to 6p, you're going to beat it. If they try to throw, unless they're in range to throw, you're going to beat that as well. If they try, even Soul cannot mash out of this, because his fastest button is 3 frames and your 5p would come out on the 2nd frame. So he cannot beat that. You're not going to trade, you're actually going to beat Soul 5k. This opens up a few options. You can go for all sorts of mix-ups, you can go for strike throw, which we're going to talk about. S-Kabari is also going to be used in this situation, in the corner. If you get any knockdown, let's say a throw, you can go 6H OTG into S-Kabari to get plus frames and to begin pressure. And the main appeal of this move is the tether. And I mean, I already talked about the tether, so basically tether keeps your opponent stuck in your ideal far slash range where they cannot really do much against you, especially if they don't have long reach. It opens up new combo routes and it opens up mix-ups, like this one, or this one, and stuff like that. So use S-Kabari, S-Kabari is super good. I usually go for 6H into S-Kabari, or 2H into S-Kabari. This usually gets me the win, and allows me to land this move. And we're going to talk about it more in pressure. Now Parry, I would like to put Parry in a purely defensive part of the guide, but I'm going to have to talk about it anyway. So Parry is active from frame 1 to 5 and has 34 frames of recovery, something like that. 30 frames total, I mean, around there. It's entirely in counter hit recovery, and the short window means that you must time it well if you want to actually parry something. Now, the reason why Parry is special is because this situation. You cannot really do anything in this situation, right? Your reversals you lose. If you mash out, you're going to get counter hit. If you try to backdash, then maybe you'll be able to escape. Oop, I messed up my backdash. Let's try again, I'll just let it go. There we go. You might be able to escape, but your opponent is still pushing their advantage. But Baiken has a meterless parry, and she just does this, and you're fucked. So parry is her reversal. Parry, that was a true parry, no? But you also have this, which I'd like to call a false parry. There we go. This leaves you plus 2, but the range is ass, so you really cannot do much. So if your opponents are further away, you might not want to actually use your parry much. Parry creates a lot of mind games, so the first mind game that Parry creates is the typical am I going to DP you on wake up mind game, which are you going to parry on wake up or are you not going to parry on wake up? Like, what am I going to, like, they're either going to meet you or they're not going to meet you. You just have to deal with it, whatever. The other DP-like situation occurs, it's in pressure. That's not what I meant to do. That's more like it. So, just like with DP, you can parry in between gaps. And you can parry in even the smallest of 1 frame gaps. You can throw a parry out there and you're going to land it. So your opponent has to sacrifice their pressure basically if they want to avoid parry. And the only reason parry is good is my best Kabari button is 5p and we're going to talk about it. But because 5p hits really low, it has a hard time beating moves like Fallen Arc. Thankfully though, we have parry. We can parry on reaction, get a punish for a lot of damage, and we're going to be fine. So use parry sparingly. I'm going to talk about more advanced uses in the Parry OS section of this video, which you can probably find in the timestamps. So let's talk about Baiken's game plan now. As Baiken, you generally just want to play the Nuke. Actually, you know what? Scrap that. We haven't covered her supers. She has 2 supers. Her first one is the reversal super. It's done by quarter circle forward twice S. It has decent range, that's its main appeal basically. And it's fully invulnerable at the start, so because of its reach you might be able to catch some stuff like this. Let's see if I can do it. So most characters would struggle to get something like this. Baiken doesn't. And it's just your general reversal super. Now, generally I prefer to use parry into RC as a reversal, but it doesn't hurt to go for this sometimes. The other super that's more interesting is Gun or Kenju, which is done by double quarter circle back. Back and fire the projectile. Once the flash happens, the projectile is guaranteed to go out and your opponent cannot do much to stop it. It will crush any other projectile. Oops, that's not a quarter circle forward input. So, you know, you do a projectile, you just blow right through. It leaves you super plus, so in certain cases you might be able to use it like this to get some plus frames. It's always plus, so even if they block at the post like this, you always smash after because they cannot do much to deal with it. It's mainly used as a whiff punishing tool, so your opponent is doing something, they whiff a button, you see the whiff, that's not really missing the whiff, but whatever. You see the whiff, you shoot, you punish, that's basically it. Don't be too predictable with it. Most people, when they see that you have 50 meter, will just stop pressing and stop doing dumb shit and just waiting for you to waste your meter. You have to be very careful with that. You can use it to bait some people, like you can go like this, they think they can catch you, you gun, they get smoked. You can use it to bait an entire, so instead of doing this, you do this. You bait the entire, you get the big punish. And those are the main uses for gun. It also combos where your other super might not, and that's basically all you're going to be using it with. Combos. I'm not showing you any combos. Why? Because it takes a lot of time, and because I already have a video that shows you most of Baiken's BNBs and setups. And also you can always just go to Twitter or whatever and fucking look up Baiken combos. There's not that many of them, and the optimal ones are relatively easy to find. I've made a separate video showing Baiken BNBs and a few setups. Which by that I mean I show you all the things you can do after a combo, basically. Whatever. I'll leave it in the description, go check it out if you want. If you don't want, go look something else up. Figure out stuff on your own, I don't care, up to you. Now, I was going to be talking about Baiken's game plan. So as Baiken you want to control the neutral. If your opponent has good reach, wanna be using Kabari, because they cannot outreach Kabari. If your opponent doesn't have that good of a reach, you want to be using Fares, because they cannot outreach Fares. And you're basically free to pressure them however you want. In general, Baiken is very oppressive against characters that have limited range, and she can also be very annoying to characters with long range because of her ability to harass with Kabari. You deal with projectiles with Tatami, you're hard to approach because you have godlike buttons both in the air and on the ground. Big disjoints, so very good space control that people are going to have a hard time dealing with. Your goal is to land a knockdown. And knockdown is a little specific, which is not, you know, how it actually is, because Baiken can pretty much get that knockdown she's looking for from pretty much any hit. And the easiest way to get it is to throw them. And now you can just start your safe jump pressure, which we're going to talk about. So you're looking to land throws. You're looking to land H-Kabari, which leads to safe jumps, and you're looking to land 2D, which also leads to safe jumps. Like this, oops, messed it up. There we go. Both of your supers allow you to land safe jumps, and there's a lot of setups that you actually have that allow you to land safe jumps, so that's what you're looking for basically. And once you get a knockdown like this and a safe jump, the party is fucking starting. The party is starting and you're going to go into pressure. And that's your game plan with Baiken. Some matchups you play more defensively, like Nagoriyuki for example. Against Nago, you kinda chill and wait for an opportunity. Once you get it, you just fucking roll. You just go in and destroy him. Now, destroy is a little over exaggerated, but you get the point. Compared to a matchup against, like, let's say Jacko. Jacko is really easy to bully. Axel, once you get in, he's really easy to bully. Kai is a footsies based matchup. There, it's all about ranges and poking. That one is a little bit different. For example, who else do you bully? You can kinda bully Potemkin, I guess, whatever. Some matchups you're going to be all in, you're going to be approaching, you're going to be going crazy. In other matchups you're going to be chilling and you're going to be hitting the opponent down, giving them a hard time. And once you land that knockdown, as I said, you just go party, basically. Talking about going partying, let's discuss her pressure a little bit. So Baiken pressure revolves all around save jumps. And after the save jump, it revolves all around strike throw. Your main pressure tools will be your 5P and 5K and your close slash. And let me start talking about those moves. So, the reason why we love using 5P and 5K as Baiken players is because we get 6K. And we get 6K Tatami, which looks like this. We also just get... Now, why is this good? First of all, it's because this strike throw, tick throws. This is a tick throwing button. This is a tick throwing button. This is very hard to see. Same for 5K. It's really hard to see this. Same goes for 6K. A tick throw for 6K is really hard to see. And the reason why that's so good is if I set the dummy to counter attack with, let's say, throw, because they want to quash, you know, take the throw. This is a frame trap, and it leads to a decent combo, especially close to the corner. This is also a frame trap, and this is an even better combo here. Right. So these buttons are very good for tick throwing. The tick throws with Baiken are absolutely sick. Close slash is good. Close slash is good because it's +1, which makes another very good tick throw, and a very strong frame trap in game with 5H, 2H, 2S, 2H, an excellent frame trap, and 6H. Now, 6H is your most rewarding frame trap. I mainly go for 2H and 6H, and I cycle between using Tatami and H-Kabari to keep my opponent guessing. This is what a 6H frame trap looks like, if you actually are able to get them. As you can see, the damage on this thing is absurd. This is absolutely meterless. This was a meterless combo and look how much damage I dealt. And it gets even crazier in the corner. So, big frame traps that make your opponent afraid to press. Now, once you get meter, things change quite a bit. I'm going to switch this guy, I'm going to tell him to bug rush, I'm going to tell him to mash. What's a good button? Let's say crouching yes. Then I'm going to tell him to bug dash. Oh, I already told him to bug dash. Then I guess I'm going to tell him to just chill. Let's switch to just chilling for now. Now, with meter, Baiken, you know, it usually has the 50-50 of doing this. The problem with going for the overhead is that you don't have any cancel options. On hit it's plus, but you don't get any actual good reward. And if they block it, your pressure is over and you're kinda screwed. So usually don't go for it that much. You mainly go for things like this. Right. This is kinda your general fall with how you deal with how you do pressure. Now, the moment you have meter, Baiken has access to one of the most disgusting 50-50s in the game. And it's not even a 50-50, it's more like, I don't know, I can't even describe it. So, starting with, you have the original mix, which is this or this. Now, if you get a 2D, you can get a Tatami and a save jump, like I showed you. If you, however, go for Youzansen, now you can RC. You have two options here. You can 2 to RC, which looks like this. Actually, you should not do 2K. My bad, let me do it proper. There you go. So you have this option, which is a low and a true block string. You have this option, which is a high and also a true block string. Now, from here you can do a bunch of crazy shit, because this is still all a true block string. So you can go like this, throw, or low, if that's what you like. You can go for a Youzansen, which is another overhead, and it leaves you plus, so you can continue pressure like this, for example. Or you can land again and do throw, or whatever, after the Youzansen, right? After this. You can still get mix. And the sequence up to that second Youzansen hit is a true block string, so they cannot mash out a super, they cannot mash out a DP. Which is excellent. They have to YRC or burst this shit. It's really hard for them to deal with it. And the thing is, if you hit, you get save jump, you get a combo, you get save jump, and you whoop it again. It just whoops. And the other good thing is, if I... gauge settings, tension gauge, normal. Look at my gauge. Do you see how I stay up a little bit meter because I passed RC? Because of that, if you have positive bonus, it literally becomes unstoppable for them to, you know, they just can't stop you from whooping this mix. Can I activate positive bonus? Continuous tension gauge, let's leave it at 50 for now. So if you happen to get positive bonus, this shit is fucking hilarious. Wait for it, just a little bit meter to build up. And now I have meter again, so I get this, and we have to guess again. So having meter with Baiken is pretty busted, not going to lie. This mix fucking breaks the game. If you get a single hit in, your opponent basically has lost. It's really hard to deal with it. So any single hit, as soon as you have meter, they have to guess a 50-50 that has a couple more follow-ups. So the mix-up is really hard to block, it's really hard to deal with. You're going to be saving your meter for this exact case. Now, you also have pressure extensions with Baiken, so I already kind of showed this one. Right, you get this and you continue pressure. The one that's really good though, and not many Baiken players use for some reason, is this one. Now this doesn't look like much, but if I set the dummy to do random stuff on reaction to this reaction, as a after blocking this Tatami Gaeshi, you're going to see some really bizarre stuff. Let's go. So, I forgot about that. He backdash? I can catch that. I can actually combo that, but I'm bad. Bastard. Backdash again. There we go, that's a catch. What's a better thing to do here? Let's do it off of closer. Keep closer. I see him swing, I parry on reaction. By the way. That's a parry on reaction. Let's go again. A backdash, let's catch it, get a punish, like this. Let's do it one more time. He backdashed again. So anytime you whiff something, or they parry Tatami, or they block Tatami or whatever, you can extend like this. You can on reaction see that they press something, and you can parry. The moment you master this, your pressure becomes even scarier and your opponents are generally afraid to press. You can pull this off from literally, oops, too bad. You can whip, you can see them press, you parry. Piercing or beer-seeing or literally any RC into seeing what they do, into reaction, parry or whatever you need to do, will make your opponent so afraid of you, it's unbelievable. This shit is honestly disgusting. I've beaten a Karian with a pierce parry after whiffing this move for what do you call it? for movement, right? So I decide to move throughout the screen like this. I pierce, I see he's doing 2G with Ju, and I just parry it on reaction. Oops, excuse me. I parry it on reaction, and he's done. He's like, God fucking damn it, this Baiken player is actually sick, bro. So, use BRC and PRC a lot with Baiken for pressure, even after something like this. This is Omega Plus, by the way. This is another setup that we have. Oops. This is another setup that we have. BRC mix-up. This is Omega Plus. It's really scary. And that's pretty much it for pressure with Baiken. Like, this is all you need to know. You're going to be strike throwing over and over and over again. You want to be using... Oh, S-Kabari pressure, of course. That's not something I have talked about. So you're going to be frame trapping into Tatami to stay safe. Frame trapping into Kabari to continue pressure, to threaten some options. You're going to be pierce attacking. When you have meter, you're going to go for awful 50-50s. Absolutely disgusting 50-50s with BRC and RC. Now, S-Kabari is a move that's really underutilized by Baiken players. I don't know why. S-Kabari is godlike. It has been godlike since season 1 and it's been buffed in season 2. So this move is disgusting. If you ever land S-Kabari on them, once again ideal range, so now you can just kind of mash your stuff. You only have a hard time dealing with it. Always 5p. If you're out of range of your 5p, you might want to try to 5k. From here you go into your typical strike throw pressure. You can go for a backdash to get a mix-up like this. This cannot be preemptively 6-speed. If they try to 6-speed this move, you're going to punish their 6-speed. If they are timing their 6-speeds, you can go above them like this as a mix-up, which is also pretty good. S-Kabari improves your combos, I talked about that. Because it keeps them closer, H-Kabari is suddenly very risky. If you do H-Kabari, you're going to end up in throw range. So if you're going to go for Kabari for whatever reason, always go into another S-Kabari. Because it will keep you plus and it will keep you dangerous. You don't have any options to deal with this other than DP. If they DP a lot, then you can just wait a little bit, then press 5p. You can backdash immediately, which looks like this, and you're going to avoid the DP and get the punish. If they super, you can always reaction parry. Lovely. And that's basically it for pressure with Baiken. I already told you this is plus. I'm not going to fill your head with much more bullshit. Every once in a while do this string, by the way. Every once in a while do this string. I guarantee you only 10% of players actually know how to punish this and stop this. And you can literally fucking kill people for free with this. Because this whoops and people have no fucking idea how to stop it. So try it out on a few people. And you're going to be able to rob some people with this. Most people actually. Now let's talk about something more interesting to me with Baiken, that's defense. So defense with Baiken, 5p is your fastest H-Kabari button. It comes out in 4 frames and it has good reach. It also hits crouching opponents, which is nice. But against characters like Ino, that hover above you a little bit, it might whiff. It might just whiff. Which is kind of unfortunate. But you always get 6k. This is bad. This is a bit better. This is safe. This is cheap. So because it gatlings into 6k and combos into 6k naturally, your reward for going for a H-Kabari 5p into 6k is really high. So that's what you're going to be using most of the time for a H-Kabari. And because parry forces your opponent to respect you a little bit more on defense, they're going to start going for a lot more staggers, right? And because they're staggering a lot more, I will get this. Right? So 5p is very scary and very dangerous for your opponent. On defense, defensive Youzansen can be used sometimes to call out stuff. But you're going to be avoiding it at all costs usually. I know I like to bait throws with this as well. I know you want to bait throws with this as well, don't do it please. It's bad. I just want to throw that out. On defense with Baiken, your main goal is to push them out with FG, because the moment you push them out... Oh, that's bad. My monitor turned off. The moment you push them out with FG, now you're suddenly in this far S range again. And in your Kabari range, in all your good ranges basically. So your goal is to FG your opponent out and begin harassing with this beauty here. Now, you have an option select that's very good. And that is the parry option select, which looks like this. You input down forward or down back with punch and S. You can also use heavy swash, but I do not recommend it. I personally go for S. If you notice, if I do down forward P and S, I get parry every single time. If I do down to back and then T, I get FG. So if you have not realized, this basically allows me to shut down 50-50s that are left-right mix-ups. Now, Kai doesn't have such, actually he has an Dragon install, but Kai technically doesn't have such a thing as a left-right 50-50, so I cannot show you with him. But if you know that your opponent is going to go for a left-right, so you're fighting melee for example, you're fighting chip, you can guess on which side they're going to go. So let's say guess he's going to be on the same side. I'm going to input parry in that direction and I'm going to code PNS. So if it happens that he's actually on the other side, I'm just going to code FG and block anyway. That option select is great. The other option select you have that makes Baiken really scary on defense is the other parry option select, which is the parry RC select. So notice how I'm just inputting parry, piercing, parry, piercing. Now look what happens if Kai safe jumps me. Oops. Oops, that's... There we go. Ah, I didn't save it. I'm sorry guys. There we go. Look what happens when Kai safe jumps me now. I did the same input. I'm still doing down forward piercing. But it doesn't come out. So if you input parry and RC immediately after, if they hit you, you're going to parry them. If they don't, you're going to RC, which is great. And because of that, you can truly deny save jumps. And anytime you want to parry, you just do this, you see what happens, you get them, it's free real estate. So you're going to be using a lot of parry, throw, you're going to be using parry into RC, into parry again when you see them mashing, if they try to bait your parry. This option select, the moment you integrate it to your defensive game plan, the moment you start to think, you know what, I'm going to throw out a parry here, let me RC. The moment you do this, your defensive game with Baiken is going to jump up quite a lot. Because this option select is really hard to deal with, because the only option they have that is going to beat this shit consistently would be to throw you. But if they're going for throws and they're risking getting hit by 5k into 6k into damage into your win condition. So mastering this option select is really good. You can almost say it's essential. It also makes your enter game consistent, because now when they're doing something weird in the air, you can do this, and if you happen to not get the parry, you parry again and you catch their button, so it gives you a fail-safe in a way. And it has a lot more uses like that one. That basically covers most of the things with Baiken. Let me show you a few setups and a few mix-ups and let me explain them to you. So, left-rights with Baiken happen all the time. The most basic left-right that you're going to learn as a beginner is this one. You can jump up and do Tatami. You get a safe jump, same side. Or you can super jump Tatami. And if I can time it better. Ooh, that's hard. let's try it like this. You're going to get the same side. Ah, come on. There you see? If you neutral jump up and then you use Tatami, you're going to end up on the other side. Now this is a little inconsistent. Some characters behave differently under tether. So you might have to go for different stuff like normal jump or forward jump or super jump and super forward jump, for example, stuff like that. So you're going to have to experiment. Baiken players that I've seen also like to go for stuff like this. Oops. Maybe the super jump. Bad. You can threaten to land to K2D, for example, or you can threaten to Youzansen like this. This is also a valid mix-up option. I don't like going for these mix-ups, even though they're more of a mix-up than a safe jump. I don't like going for them because I prefer to play safer. I sacrifice potential damage for stability. That's my case. You might not be like me though. The same can go for this situation. Fuck. I need him to stop walking. Can't stop walking. Thank you, Kyle. So over here, you can do that, you can land, you can also do all sorts of crazy shit. Every time you're going to your point like this, they basically have to guess between you doing Youzansen or between you just doing nothing and landing. Both of these are very hard to deal with. Off of throw, one of my favorite mix-ups, and I hope you like it a lot as well. Because technically it's OSable against, but it really isn't, because of the way the movement works with tether. My favorite mix-up is this one. Let me actually get them to block. See if you can block it. I guarantee you won't be able to. So this is same side, and I get high wall mix. So be careful with the high wall. And here is this version. Fuck, I messed it up. God damn it, I'm bad. Every time I record, man. Every time I record, I cannot do the simplest of shit. I cannot do the simplest of shit. There we go, see? So this second option beats any attempt at option selecting. So normally people option select by doing 6P or FD. This beats that option select because of the way timing works. If they're 6P, they're going to get beaten because Youzansen is busted. If they try to FG it, their FG is going to go the wrong way and they're going to get the 6P out anyway, which are going to beat again. So it's fucking hilariously good. you cannot OS it. The way it works, I'm going to explain it. It depends on when you 5k. So if I do 5k as fast as possible, I'm going to end up on this side and I'm going to get mix and pressure. If I do 5k OTG later, I'm going to go on this side. And that version seems a little bit weaker, and if it's blocked, yes, it's not as good as getting the front mix. But on hit, it's actually extremely rewarding, and this is the reason I go for it. Right back into mix. This setup is the only one that I really wanted to share with you because not many Baiken players use it. I think this one was originally thought by Kinoski. And Kinoski used it a lot, I don't know if he still uses it. I saw it from him and I did some backwards engineering to figure out how it works, and it's the main one I use and I find a lot of success with it. The problem with this mix is that it doesn't work in the corner, right? So if I do it in the corner, no matter what I do, I'm always going to end up in front. But that's actually not entirely true. Now, I haven't swapped this. Do you see that? So you can still end up in this side if you pull them with the tether. Let me see if I can do the Master's version. God damn it. One more try. Ah, come on. There we go. That's the Master's version of the mix. So if you're doing this, you're definitely stay same side and do something like this or Tatami. God damn it, Tatami doesn't work with my bad. Something like that, I guess, I don't know. But you can actually get across it here. It's kinda hard to do, mainly because I'm not using the dash macro. But you basically jump and then you air dash immediately, and you can cross them up. Now, as I said, that's literally the only mix-up I use. I'm sorry, like, I don't use that many setups. I use safe jumps, always. I use the 6H S-Kabari, always. And I use the 5K mix that I just showed you, always. And that's all I need, generally. And of course the knowledge check, this one. I use it from time to time. That's generally all I use, and it works for me perfectly, honestly. There are more setups, there's some crazy setups, there's some not so crazy setups. Mine, the things that I do are focused around being stable. I get less reward of a lot of things, but I'm more stable. That's why I use those. And with Baiken, if you can be stable, if you can be consistent, it's really hard for the opponent to actually win. Because it's very easy to get hit once by Baiken and then get smoked by Mix. That's pretty much it. You can find out more Baiken guides in my channel. I have a playlist for that shit. I have made a matchup guide where I talk about specific things that you should do or you should know for each matchup with Baiken. I've also made an anti-Baiken guide, which can help you deal with some of the things she does. So if you came here looking for knowledge on how to beat Baiken or how she works, then I also recommend going and watching that one as well, because it has a lot of tips that might be able to improve your game against Baiken. At any rate, thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope this one is more informative and more useful than the original primer, which is kinda bad, not going to lie. So, thank you so much once again, and I'll see you in the next one.